Welcome to the Bowel Chronicles, where we dive deep into the world of bowel health. I'm your host, Nikki Kilpatrick, and on this podcast we have raw and candid conversations with individuals facing various bowel conditions and illnesses. Through personal stories and shared experiences, we illuminate resilience and courage in the face of adversity. Be reminded that each story is personal and unique. These conversations are not to be taken as medical advice or to replace guidance from a doctor or healthcare provider. Our aim is to inspire and empower through these amazing stories, amplifying voices often unheard. So join us as we embark on this journey together. Sit back, listen, and be inspired. Enjoy the episode. Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Bowel Chronicles. I'm your host, Nikki Kilpatrick, and today we are joined by Ian Barton in Bewdley in Worcestershire. I can't say it.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, you'll have to say where it is, Ian. I'm hopeless. You're about half an hour away from Birmingham, you've told me.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, Ian, listen, thank you so much for giving time up of your day to come on here and share your story with us. I've been following kind of your journey a little bit, and I know that you are diagnosed with Hirschsprung's disease. And usually when someone's diagnosed with Hirschsprung's disease, it's whenever they're born. It's picked up in children, usually around birth or very, very small infancy. But you weren't diagnosed until you were around 4 years old, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I had the signs, early signs, kind of like from within the first sort of few weeks. I don't think the doctors really kind of knew then what was going on. I think I had started to have like suppositories and enemas and things from about 3-4 months old. So yeah, from an early age, they didn't kind of really diagnose. So I had all these issues up until 4. I think I was nearly 5 when they officially diagnosed after an autopsy.
Colonoscopy.
That's the one, yeah. After I had that done, they kind of then decided that, came up with that I got the Hirschsprung's diagnosis then.
Okay. Ian, is there anyone in your family that has Hirschsprung's disease? Because it's normally hereditary, it's in the genes.
Yeah, that's correct. No, nobody else has got it in my family.
Okay.
No, I've never had anyone else in the family with it.
Right. And I suppose then the most common symptom is constipation. It's where your bowels just aren't functioning as a small child. So obviously this was happening. Your mum was picking up on it, or parent was picking up on it then and taking you to the GP or a pediatrician.
Yeah.
To be looked at. Do you have any memory of those early days?
Yeah, it's very kind of sketchy really, because it all kind of started from such a young age. I only kind of know what my mum kind of told me. I do remember more sort of through my school years and from like primary age upwards, but like those earlier few kind of years, I don't really know all the ins and outs. I know they tried several different things before they came up with the diagnosis. Yeah, so it's kind of, I was getting a lot of stomach pains all the while and very kind of like distended stomach.
Yeah.
I went through kind of like through primary school having to wear pads pretty much every day because I just had no control over the bowels at all. Which was hard, as you can imagine.
So you kind of went from like the bowels not moving to actually probably being incontinent because you had control over them.
What it was, I had a a long time ago now. At Worcester Hospital, I had a mum said it was a anal stretch, and then I kind of then after that I went from like not being able to go to the toilet to like having no control at all. So I had the complete reverse.
Yes. I know sometimes they do like a Botox thing.
Sorry?
It's almost like Botox into the rectum to either make it work more or make it work less. It can go either way.
Yeah, so it kind of had the opposite effect in the end. So I was having to wear pads and stuff all the time. I had my I had my first colostomy at the age of 8 years old.
Okay, it's very young.
A very young age. I believe I had that for about 18 months. And then I had it reversed, but I was then continuously getting the same kind of symptoms again. And I was going back to how I was before, with soiling all the time and just having no control over my bowels at all. That went on for years. And eventually I actually asked to have my colostomy back at the age of 12 because I couldn't cope with the bullying at school and the name calling, obviously. Yeah, I found it very difficult.
What was that like? Like at the age of 8, did you understand what a stoma surgery was?
Yeah, so I had a good a stoma nurse obviously come and speak to me beforehand, to sort of like explain more in detail what stoma was, and yeah, gave me a lot of information. So
Where would you say at 8 years of age you fully understood it, and were you accepting of it because of how bad life was with your body?
no, it hit me pretty hard, to be honest. I don't it's taken me many years to come to terms with it. Yeah, all through my kind of like childhood and teenage years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really, I kind of hated it almost to that point that, yeah.
And do you think
Feel
it
like I
was
could live a normal kind of life like everybody else. Well, my brothers were going out and having a social life, and I just I didn't have one at all. Just not my confidence massively. Self-esteem was very low, and confidence kind of right down.
and getting the reversal done, was that kind of you, or was that a decision your parents had to make of, okay, we'll reverse this now and see if things work?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I know I was 8, like I say, I was 8 when I had the colostomy.
Yeah.
I had a lot of issues with prolapses, constant prolapses all the while. Many time I remember the prolapses, and obviously scared my parents to death at the time when it happened. I'd end up back in hospital, and kind of think they tried other things, but I was just kept continuously getting these prolapses, and then I was constantly having leaks with the colostomy as well. Which I think that's in the end, obviously they decided to reverse it, but I just continued to carry on with the same problems. At the age of 12, I just had enough, and I'd actually said I want it back. I want the colostomy back. I can't live like this anymore.
So many people, even, Hirschsprungs aside, people that I talk to who have gone through like a lip ileostomy or colostomy, and it's temporary, and they know where the reversal is offered up, and they're right, okay, let's take the reversal, and then a short time later, just like, no, give me back my life with my stoma. It actually was better for me, even though it's difficult to accept.
Yeah,
And that's, of course, that's going to be very hard for someone who's 12 years of age. Hormones are starting to change, you're starting to go through puberty, all of these different feelings and emotions you've got, as
yeah.
well as now having this, I don't know, adaptation to your body that you have to get used to. So you you got your stoma back. Was it another colostomy at that point, or was that when your ileostomy was formed?
My ileostomy was performed when I was 18. I was actually in hospital for my 18th birthday.
Okay.
My 18th birthday in hospital at the time, having the ileostomy done. But yeah, I think so. Ever since I've had the ileostomy, I've it's changed my life massively. I don't get the leaks, hardly ever get a leak at all. Very far and few between. Whereas with the colostomy, I was getting them all the time. I was having prolapses all the while as well.
So what was their reason between the colostomy, you getting that back at 12 years of age, and at 18? What was the reason for changing it from a colostomy? And I'll just quickly say to our viewers and listeners today, the colostomy is a stoma. The large intestine is brought outside the body, and that's created, and that's called a colostomy. Ian then has had that changed to an ileostomy, which is his small intestine brought outside the body. So it's a little piece of the intestine brought out, which is called your stoma, and then the bag is attached, and that is your stoma bag. It's an ileostomy or a colostomy. So you've gone from the colostomy to the ileostomy.
Yeah.
Why? What
The
happened?
reason for that was, like I said, I had a lot of issues with the prolapses and things, and then in between that kind of time, from the age of 12 up to 18, I'm not sure exactly what date it was. I developed gangrene while I was in hospital. I had gangrene of my bowels. My mum was kind of came down the wards. When I was at Great Ormond Street Hospital. She's had like one of the flats there, so she kind of lived there while I was in, because I was in for many weeks. She came up to my bed and she said she could immediately see this horrible smell, and she just knew that something wasn't right. And she immediately like went straight down to the nurses station, and they basically then charged down the wards, and kind of I was sent straight to theatre, had to have emergency theatre. What had happened was my bowel just it got the circulation had cut off completely, so my bowel was basically dying. It was just got gangrene. It was black. My stoma. Mum looked at my stoma, and it was literally black. And you couldn't. Yeah, it was a quite scary thing at that age.
So you're just eight. It was your 18th birthday.
So they ended up having to remove the rest of my intestine and colon, which is when they obviously made the decision to do the ileostomy or ileostomy after that.
Oh, that is horrendous, absolutely horrendous. I think you said on your guest form you've had between 15 and 20 surgeries.
Yeah.
And that was that all before?
I think my last kind of my main surgery. I think my last main surgery was kind of in my early 20s, but most of the operations were kind of like from birth up to that age. I was just in and out all the while. I had my I think it was a colostomy moved from one side to the other, opened up and closed, and then opened up again and closed several times, because of issues and
was those issues that it wasn't working effectively? It wasn't.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was to do with the way it was performing, not working properly, and obviously with the prolapses and things like that, which were just happening all the while. I didn't have a good experience at all with the colostomy. Like I said, I got so fed up and down by it that
And I think it's similar to, my own story is one of colonic inertia, where my bowel just completely died. It was redundant. It could no longer work. And it's kind of the same situation with Hirschsprung's disease. It's where the large bowel doesn't function. There's no peristalsis. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
yeah.
The more and more people I talk to, I kind of feel like, why do you do a colostomy into the large bowel when the large bowel isn't working or doing what it's supposed to do? But I think when you speak to doctors and surgeons, it's because, well, when they do an ileostomy, you don't absorb all the nutrition. So in a child, that nutrition is really, really important. So they will always go for the lesser evil of the two and go for a colostomy. But in this situation, you had multiple surgeries, and it's failed and failed and failed. And well, I suppose it's maybe given you another, I don't know, 8 years or 10 years from you had your first surgery until you had your ileostomy, where you're maybe able to hold on to your nutrition a bit better because you're older. It's a crazy journey to have to navigate through all of those surgeries. And you've missed your teenage years, what normal teenage kids should be doing, or kids should be doing, because of the pesky bowel situation.
Yeah.
What did that feel like, being a young guy 18 years of age in hospital with bowel issues, and here you're having another major surgery. I like I know you've said it impacted your mental health, but
Yeah,
what was going on around you, with friends and school?
yeah. I struggled through. I always struggled through school anyway. I mean, obviously, having the stoma didn't really help matters. I wasn't very confident throughout school. I had a lot of bullying as a result of the stoma. Um, I was even eventually I was actually bullied by teachers as well in the end, which is the reason why I ended up moving schools. My mum took me out of that school because I was having leaks in class and things like that, and then there were comments like like you get from children, but then kind of like the teacher said something along the same lines in one of the lessons one day, and I remember storming out in tears. I just walked out of the class and I kind of said to the reception lady, because she tried to stop me as I was going out the door. I said, I'm not coming back. I said, I'm not coming back to the school. And I went back home and I sobbed my heart out. My mum, straight up to the school the next day. Yeah, he's not coming back. And I was put into a different school then as a result of the bullying. Yeah, it's very, very hard.
Yeah. Do you think is that a lack of education? Is it a lack of people not knowing and not being
Yeah,
educated on what these things are, or is it
maybe.
upbringing?
Yeah, I mean, it's like say it's a lot more talked about now, and it seems to be more. Um, yeah, people are more open about it. There's a lot more people, I think, that have stomas for whatever reason, whether it's Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or cancer or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people out there now. So I don't think there was, or if there was, it wasn't kind of talked about like it is now on social media. So maybe it was a bit of lack of, they say, knowledge about it, and
Yeah, it's a very taboo subject for some people,
yeah,
or it wasn't spoken about. Yeah.
yeah,
So once you had this ileostomy surgery at 18, you then had your further surgery, your early 20s. Was that to make this surgery a permanent surgery? Um,
yeah, yeah.
it was, okay. And what has life been like from you had that surgery, like bile wise, Hirschsprung wise? Um, did that cure the issue?
Sorry, could you just say that then?
Did it cure the issue?
Um, Obviously still got the yeah. I'm still I still have issues. And I have reoccurrences where I get like twisted bowels and things
Right.
every kind of 2 to 3 years. So I kind of end up back in for usually for a few days, and then it normally resolves itself after 2 or 3 days of being in hospital. But the pain's so severe, I have to have the morphine. Nothing will touch the pain other than the morphine, and I kind of end up going in mainly for the pain relief. I've narrowly avoided surgery, not the time last, but the time before that. I think it was around about 2 years ago. I was in and I was on the waiting list to go down to theatre the following morning, but it luckily it resolved itself in the evening, so I didn't. Yeah, so I like
Yeah.
narrowly avoided it because I know the surgeons they all say they're very reluctant to do any surgery because
Mhm.
I've got so much scar tissue and adhesions. They say like obviously by kind of opening me up again and that they're creating like getting rid of the old scar tissue, but they're creating more kind of on top of that.
Mhm.
So it's it could do more harm than good. So they don't really want to get involved and do another surgery.
Mhm.
But I'm kind of thinking at some point I might end up having to have surgery again later down the line. But it's one of them things. Try not to think about too much. Really, and
Yeah.
it
And
happens. It happens.
are you one of these people that when that happens, are you like, I can't go to hospital? Are you terrified of it? Or are you just accepting that hospital is more or less my second home?
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. It's a second home now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Obviously.
nobody really wants to go to hospital, do they? And you kind of, I think I kind of try to deal with it on my own and just hope it'll pass. But I know, and so I know the pain now, and it's just completely different pain, isn't it? To a kind of little bit of a blockage. When you've got a major blockage, you know straight away the symptoms and the signs, and it's I kind of know that I have to go in, that it's just not going to resolve itself.
Isn't it crazy that they say you like nobody knows your own body like you do? So
No,
you're
that's
really
right.
able to tell the difference in no, this is an obstruction or a blockage, or this is actually a twist in my bowel.
Yeah. I mean, the pain's severe, isn't it? So you probably know yourself as well. It's obviously I've got other female friends that have stomas as well, and they kind of describe the pain. The closest to it being is like labour pains. It's the pain is that excruciating. It's yeah, definitely takes your breath away.
Yeah, but other than that, cropping up from time to time, are you able to live a pretty normal life?
Yeah, definitely. My quality of life is so much better since having the ileostomy. I like I say, I didn't have much of a life at all with the colostomy, and I just had so many issues. I just didn't want to do anything, didn't want to go out of the house. I became a hermit almost. Spent years of just being in my room and not going out. And my kind of my siblings were going out having a good time, and they had girlfriends and things like that, which I never did because it was just too difficult. And yeah, it was very difficult as a child and through my teens, kind of early 20s. But having the ileostomy done was definitely a massive thing for me. It's made my life a lot better.
Yeah, you've gone on, you have a couple of children and that now, and
I've actually had 4 children in
four
total.
children.
I
Wow.
I have four children from 2 marriages. Unfortunately, these things happen. My older boys are 22 and 19, and then I have a 10-year-old and 6-year-old.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah, nothing was getting in the way of having a family anyway.
no,
Yeah.
definitely not.
That's
But
amazing.
my quality of life is so much better now.
Yeah.
It's not stopped me from doing anything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've done a lot of extreme sports and things like that, and running marathons and ultra marathons and all
Okay.
sorts really. So
Your stoma doesn't hold you back.
it
Hasn't had.
doesn't hold me back. I try not to let it hold me back anyway.
I think so many people look at people with stomas, or they just visualize that's something that old people have, and your life is nearly over when you have a stoma, and you'll not be able to do any of these things. And that clearly isn't the case. I think if your mindset
Yeah,
kind of is set on doing those things, you can achieve anything. And like I know for a long time you said it impacted your mental health, but you're in a better place now since your ileostomy surgery. You're able to do those things. Do you still have days where you look down and think, it's me and you forever?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I say, I have come to terms with it, but it's taken a long time to get to where I am.
Yeah.
I still have those days where I think, oh, it's ugly, and it's like, why have I got it? You do. It's only natural, I think. Kind of wish it wasn't there at times, but then I wouldn't have the life I have now if I hadn't had the stoma. So
Yeah,
it's definitely been
acceptance.
a good thing.
Mm, yeah. How do you find then social media? You have you share your journey on social media as Stoma Dad 75. How or what made you decide to be vulnerable and put yourself on social media and show your stoma and life?
Yeah. Like I said, I think because I'm a lot more positive now than I say, it's not something I would have done years ago. I just didn't have the confidence then. And I think it helps knowing there's so many more people out there in the same situation as yourself. And they're very brave and put themselves out there. So, well, if they can do it, then so can I. Why should I hide it and be embarrassed by it? I spent years like that. So so I think that was one of the main reasons. And yeah, just to kind of spread a bit more awareness of invisible disabilities and just stomas in general, really.
Yeah, that's what I always say. Even if one person just notices, and it gives them a little bit of hope, then it's worth doing.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And it's like you probably want at one stage looking for people who were similar to you that could relate to you. And now the world of social media has kind of opened up and
Yeah, that's what, so frustrating because, like I say, back when I was a child and I was really struggling mentally, and I kind of like felt like there was nobody there. I mean, I had nobody to kind of like to talk to or confide in about how I was feeling. So that was very difficult. Like saying now, it's completely different, isn't it? But back then there was nobody. I did have a state. My stoma nurse was a lovely lady, and she put me in touch with a guy that was a lot older than myself. He had an ileostomy due to Crohn's disease, and he had a family and everything. And turned out he actually lived around the corner from me, which was crazy.
wow.
Yeah, and she put us in touch and kind of like met up and that. I think I was about 18, 19 then. He would have been around about 40, I would have said. But kind of went over and just had a chat, and yeah, just yeah, it was a good, definitely a good thing. But other than that, I didn't have anybody else that kind of had a stoma.
Were you ever offered the support of a counsellor or anything that you could talk to?
No, I wasn't. No, I think, like I say, now I would have been, but I just don't think it was really kind of talked about as much back then, and they didn't have the knowledge and that they do now.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't feel, yeah, I was never, like I say, I was never given any counselling or anything like that, which I think would have helped back then. But
And what about your children then? Does any of your children have Hirschsprungs? Has it been passed on?
well, fingers crossed, nothing at the moment. And like yourself, it's usually detected at birth, so kind of you would know by now if one of them did have any issues, and it's likely that they could have. I do have my my 10-year-old has a few kind of problems, and it's kind of worried about it over the years, but every time it's been kind of checked out and that they've the doctors have said that they're not concerned, and they don't think there's anything there, sort of thing. It's just occasional accidents kind of every so often and that, and it's, but I think it's always in the back of your mind, isn't it? And like I was told, I think
You,
years ago, years and years ago, I didn't really know that I wasn't aware that it was hereditary until only a few years back when somebody said that it was, and oh great, I hope my children don't get it,
yeah.
because yeah, no, I couldn't bear that, the thought of that. So at the moment, fingers crossed, they seem to all be okay. So I'm hoping not. I'm hoping not.
And yeah, and we'll manifest those vibes for your kids that it doesn't will be healthy. Yeah, Ian, is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up today? Is there anything else you would like to share, or anything that has happened in your journey that you feel would benefit someone else, kind of on a similar journey to yourself?
Um, no, I don't think there is really, to be honest. All I'd say is that anybody that's having one or that's due to have one is to not to worry. It won't change your life. Like, you can still do the things that most people can do, and yeah, I don't think it stops you from doing anything. It's having a positive mindset, really, isn't it?
I think acceptance is the key to this. Whenever surgery comes up for a lot of people, I understand that it is emergency surgery and they get no time to process it at all. For others,
Yeah,
no surgery is on the cards at one stage in their future. But when it actually happens, it's accepting, okay, why has this been done? It's being done because your life was at risk, or it's to improve your quality of life. And it's like accepting, okay, this is it forever. And we all have those days where we look down and go, shit, it's you and me forever, why? But we just think of the
Yeah.
rough things and we're reminded of like we have so many more better days. And I think um your quality of life improves and your ability to say yes to a lot more will actually improve as well. And you'll, I don't know, take on new challenges in life that you mightn't have necessarily done before. So, yeah, acceptance is key. Ian, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come on and share with us. For our audience listening and watching, do go over Ian's social media handles will be tagged here below in the show notes. Do go over, give him a follow, and if you have any questions on what we've discussed today, drop him a message or myself, and we will try to get you those answers. I'll just remind you that we are not professionals; we are sharing our own personal journeys.
Mhm.
And if you have any questions or you feel like you need to speak to someone, do go and speak to a GP, a doctor, a professional, and get the help that you need. But from Ian and myself today, it's over and out. Do come back next week to join us for another episode. But in the meantime, it's over and out from us. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Lovely to see you.